All right, so it's 9:15. I filibustered enough, which means one thing. It's now time for Tyler and for Maddie to drop in. And Maddie Cruz on the ones and twos, and Tyler, first and foremost, obviously, we have to bring you in as we always do. What is the mug this morning, and what is in said mug, sir?
I have a good one this morning. It's brand new. It's brand new, nice and shiny.
Okay.
It's our own mug.
Oh,
I know.
Ooh.
And then look how conceited we are.
The headshots. The headshot.
It's mocha coffee.
Okay, so then obviously the follow-up question that is a part of the promo of said said ceramic, sir. How does an individual get said coffee mug so they can share their mochas and adult beverages and mommy water, things like that?
Well, yeah, it depends on what time of day it is. Because we do have a beer glass on there too. I can show you that one as well. Look, I'm just like a walking advertisement this morning.
Wait, no, that never happens in our industry. Come on, man. Hey, dude, I got Scarves off to the side, and I look on the other side of this door. I've got Scarves. I've got our Marshall Islands scarves, and we got gear on our own page. So trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. No, scarvesandspikes.com. You click on the little shop button up there at the top, or you can go straight to the Scarves and Spikes Etsy page. Just the same link, take you to the same place, and we got all of our stuff.
Have an Etsy page?
Yeah. We were trying to figure out the best way to do like the merch, and we went back and forth with a lot of things, and cost prohibitive things happen.
Understood. I get that.
Yeah. So Etsy works, and it's doing the job so far.
Okay. So, so you too can get your beer stein or your coffee mug to put in whatever beverage you wish when it comes to showing your support for Scarves and Spikes. Now, the larger question, I know that some folks ask, what about the lid? What is the lid on the Etsy page as well?
It is. And there's multiple color variations as well. You got this one, you have like I don't have one with me, but the actual baseball hat instead of like the flat bill or whatever.
Yeah.
Hoodies, shirts, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, just checking. So now that now you guys have gone full promo and full gear run. So no, dude, it is all about showing support for the colors. I completely and totally understand that. And congratulations, by the way, now that you are getting all of this gear together and
thank you,
making sure that everybody wants to sit there and show their support for Scarves and Spikes. See, now if you did like a lid and you just had like an N like right in the middle, like a black baseball cap with the N, and it's just golden spikes, or it was like Scarves,
hey,
and something like
that.
Good
idea. I might have to steal that one from you.
No. It's not stealing. That is such an ugly word.
Reappropriate.
Yes, repackaging and that kind of a thing. But no, glad you guys are hitting the merch trail when it comes to all of this stuff.
Thank you.
Couple days we've had the chance to kind of sit there and look back before FC Cincinnati comes to town, and we were told, by the way, yesterday that Philadelphia Union players, and I'm going to have to go for a little bit here because this is a long paragraph. Philadelphia Union players Kai Wagner, Alejandro Bedoya, Daniel Gazdag, Jack McGlynn, Quinn Sullivan, and Julian Carranza have all been fined, and the club and its manager, Jim Curtin, have gotten mass confrontation warnings for swarming the referee at the end of their match in Atlanta on Sunday. So you've got that came from the league office after what happened on the weekend where the unioned, and it was what it was. And so now that you've had a couple days to kind of decompress and look back at it, what else sticks in your mind? Heavy side of start. Yeah. Wow.
We could do an entire show about the refereeing decisions. At the end of the day, I don't know that any of that could be attributed. I mean, look, I'll throw it out there. Mm-hmm. The throw in, whatever, take it for what it's worth.
Right.
You got to defend better on a throw in. It's as simple as that. So, it can go both ways. Philly, they probably had a right to be a little frustrated that the whistle was blown when it was. I don't care. It's Philly. Jose Martinez should have been sent off in the first half for throwing a hissy fit and throwing the ball 50 yards after giving up a free kick. Those things all aside, We'll get that out of the way.
Yes.
Atlanta just, to boil it down into one simple thing, they just switched off. Eerily similar to some of the moments last year, which sucks to see. But I don't think it's a symptom of like a bigger problem. I think it was just you have inexperience. I don't want to say inexperience because Luis Abram is not inexperienced, but you have that pairing of Abram and Noah Cobb at the back.
Yeah.
And I think Noah Cobb's been playing so well that it's easy to forget his age, and he's so athletic, right? He's such a good center back already, and he has so much more potential to unlock.
Yeah.
But you go back to the first goal, and Edwin Mosquera makes the pass, and I think people have been trying to put a lot of this on Mosquera. Like, you go back and watch the entire sequence.
Yeah,
that man did so much work from the right wing all the way over to like the left side of midfield just to try to make something happen, and then he just plays a rough pass, and
he played it into open space, and unfortunately, and he was trying to create something. He was up against the touchline. Yep. Philadelphia likes to use the touchline as an extra defender to pin you in. Mosquera, I imagine, out of his peripheral vision, sees an open space, and he's trying to keep possession, leaning it into that open space. Unfortunately, it was open space, and the only two individuals there were Brad Gazan and Michael Ua.
Yep. And then, you kind of, I don't know that Noah Cobb could have done much more in that situation. I think he maybe could have been switched on a little quicker because it looked like everybody, Almada was over there throwing his hands up for a throw in. Yeah. And I think that kind of switched maybe a couple of people on the other side of the pitch off. And so Noah Cobb is kind of walking back, and then Brad Guzan gets stuck in the middle of no man's land. And yeah, it was a rough situation. Yeah. So after that, though, you hope that you kind of get knocked in the face and you realize, oh, hey, we still have another 20 minutes left to play. We need to get this together. Yeah. And unfortunately, that did not happen. And then it almost happened in a worse way where they gave up a third one. Thankfully, it was offside by like 9 3/4 inches.
9 3/16 inches, according to some on social media.
Whatever it was. So I say all that to say it was a very long-winded way to say I think my biggest focus this week, if I'm Pineda, is just drilling into their heads. Like, whatever you had in the first few games of the season where you fought for 90 minutes, you got to remember to do that. You cannot switch off in an MLS game or you will get punished.
Matty Cruz and the ones and twos. First question for Tyler Pilgrim on a Wall Pass Wednesday.
Before I ask my question, was Jose Martinez on that list?
For the mass confrontation?
I don't think
so. Let's see. I do not believe that he was, but
I'm just shocked he didn't get fined for chucking the ball into freaking no man's land. But that's fine.
That's a game day decision, and that is truly something that is within the field of play, and so that would have had to have been something where you go, that should have happened on the field, and you can't retroactively sit there and go, okay, we've got to sit there and issue something for chucking a ball. So that was something that should have happened in the field of play.
I think he wasn't in that list, and I think it's probably because somebody on the Union squad was like, hey, dude, get off the field now because you're lucky you weren't sent off already. You're lucky you're not going to get like an after the fact red card, Right. So. Yeah.
Yep. So, Maddie, what else is on your mind now that we got Jose Martinez out of the way?
Listen, I had to bring it up.
I know.
I will say, even though obviously there was those laps, I feel like we saw a lot of really good bright spots, at least in the attack from Saba, from that side of Wiley. We saw Tristan and Sleesh really kind of connect. What were your thoughts about those buildups and those connections on the field?
I actually thought everybody played really well. And of course, it's always going to be looked at with the two goals, right? But like you played a really solid game and you were creating chances. It wasn't like, you had a good half and a bad half in terms of momentum, the goals notwithstanding, obviously.
Right.
But like you played the first half and you looked pretty good. And it was back and forth, right? It wasn't like you had a dominant performance, but you looked like you were in the game. As far as Miyamba and Slish, I actually thought this was one of their better games. I thought Slish was low key one of the best players on the pitch. And I know you were there in the locker room, but he was not happy about this match. Like, visibly not happy. And
Mm.
I kind of talked about it after the match that night, but Slish, I think we tend to forget he's coming from a team where he won, I think it was 4 trophies in a row. And at his age, he's 24. Like, he has nothing but success pretty much in his soccer career to this point. So he does not like losing or having a draw that feels like a loss. So yeah, I mean, especially after the game that he played with Muyumba, I feel for him. And then you look at the wings, and Pineda kind of mentioned it as well. Wiley hasn't gotten as many chances this year, and that's not necessarily his fault. That's because of what they're asking him to do. And he said he's just happy because the kid's work rate is so phenomenal that he got rewarded with an absolute golazo, So it's great to see him getting involved, because I think when this Atlanta team, their attack is firing, you have Brooks Lennon and Caleb Wiley at least involved in some way, shape, or form in the attack. And it was nice to see Caleb kind of get on the board.
Bart Sleesh's numbers on the day: 74 touches, 84% passing on 42 of 50, 1 key pass, 2 long balls, 1 block shot. He was 9 of 13 on his duels, 5 of 6 in the air, something that, Atlanta United has been more of a 50-50 bunch, or, on the lower end of the 50 percentiles kind of a thing. So Bart Sleesh, 4 of 7 on the ground, 5 of 6 in the air, 9 of 13 overall on his duels. Was fouled 1 time, which really should have been a yellow card on Jose Martinez. 1 clearance, 3 blocks, 3 picks, and 3 tackles. That's what you got from Bart Sleesh on Sunday. To your point about Tristan Muyumba, who ended up with an 8.3 on SofaScore. In the 90 minutes, 83 touches, 53 of 63 passing, 4 key passes, 3 for 3 on his long balls, 1 shot on target, 1 off, 2 blocks, 4 of 6 on the dribble. Get this, Tristan Muyumba, 10 of 15 on his ground duels alone. 10 of 15. I have never seen an individual with a number that high on either side of the equation, maybe in total, but on one aspect of your duels. 10 of 15 on the ground for Tristan Muyumba.
Especially against Philly.
Yeah.
Because you touch them the wrong way, they're going to fall over. So
True.
That means you had clean tackles, clean duels.
1 block, 1 pick, 6 tackles for Tristan Muyumba. So 6 tackles and 10 of 15 on your ground duels for Tristan Muyumba against Philly. So there's some really cool stats that you don't get the chance to get a second look at traditionally when it comes to Atlanta United. But now you've got to dust yourself off, and you've got Cincinnati coming to town. And Cincinnati, one of the 2 teams last season in the Eastern Conference that was over 500 on the road. They were 7-3-7. Obviously, when you finish number 1 or number 2 in the conference, it would lean to the fact that perhaps maybe you do okay on the road. 7-3-7 last year. They're 2-1-1, but they're coming off the loss to Montreal, where some guy that we all know, you might have heard of, Joseph Martinez.
Yep.
He scored against Philadelphia last week, and so against Cincinnati last week. So since he comes to town, and it's going to be another one of those matches where you're going up against one of the better teams in the conference, in a conference that is a street fight. And I think that this one really is one of the heavyweight matchups coming up this weekend on 7:30 on Saturday night. It's Kanji and Danny who are in the booth for Apple TV.
Yeah, I think I actually hopped on the one of the Cincinnati podcasts last night, Cincy Soccer Talks, if you guys ever get a chance.
Yep.
And they were a little worried about this match, which is good if you're an Atlanta fan.
Right.
They've I don't want to call this a skid. It's not a skid. Like you have to have more than two matches, right? For it to be a skid, but it's abnormal. I think if you look over the past calendar year for them, they're struggling a little bit. And I think their attack is not quite as outstanding as it was. Numerically, we can see that. Obviously, we look at the maths and we can tell that. But Lucho can't do everything on his own either. And just like I think we've had that argument with Almada, before the summer transfer window last year, Almada couldn't do everything on his own. Well, Atlanta now has players around him that can make things happen. Even if he's the guy doing the dirty work and creating space for everybody else, that's okay. Lucho is not quite getting that out of his surrounding group at this point. So regardless, it's going to be a tough test for Noah, Abram. I'm assuming that's going to be the two because I don't think Stian or Derek are going to be back yet. Pretty sure they're not. So yeah, this is not going to be an easy one by any means, but also, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, fact check me.
Sure.
Cincinnati was the last team to beat Atlanta in the Benz. And I don't think they have forgotten that. And so you're coming off this 2-2 draw that felt like a loss to Philly. And if I'm an Atlanta United player, I'm pissed. I'm a little irritated with the way that happened. And then you also look back to last season. That was when Almada got his red card, his second yellow for no reason.
Yeah.
And it changed, I think, maybe a little bit of the outcome of the playoffs. And so I just think there's going to be a little bit of history there that Atlanta has not quite forgotten about yet. And then, of course, we haven't talked about Miles Robinson.
I've heard of him. Yes.
Yeah, that guy. I think on a normal day, Atlanta is in a much better defensive position than they were last year, even with Miles Robinson. But you don't have your starting two center backs. I think Noah and Luis Abram can handle it, but I do think it's going to be much more of a challenge than you would like against the reigning Supporter Shield winners.
So the reigning appetizer plate winners come to town, and Doug reported yesterday that Gigi Shande Silva and Stian Gregerson have resumed training. Once again, we're at the midpoint of the week. We don't necessarily know how things are progressing. We'll probably know more toward the end of the week, say the Friday opportunity to catch up with Gonzalo Pineda, where he'll sit there and say, okay, we might wait another day to figure out if so-and-so is going to be attached one way or the other. But getting these folks back, even if they can give you, say, 20, in the reverse idea that what we're used to seeing with these guys, the starters, and then you bring folks in, say, for 20 or 30 minutes to close up shop, maybe you have a situation with these folks where they're the ones that are coming off the bench just so they can get back to full song, and you have them being the ones to shut the door on Saturday night. It would present an interesting conundrum for Pat Noonan and for Cincinnati to have to prepare for those guys in addition to what you think you're going to be seeing at Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Daniel Rios, right? And excuse me. How he played.
Had to clear his throat because the coffee went down the wrong way.
Yeah, it tried to attack me, tried to get me. Daniel Rios, all the credit, because it wasn't just the goal that he scored against Philly. He was doing the right stuff as a striker. He was all over the place. He was pulling guys out of position. He was dropping back to help the play build up if needed. He was pressing. So, I mean, I think overall you should be pretty excited about what you saw out of Daniel Rios. I think he probably gets to start again. Yeah. And then you bring on Giacomakis, hopefully, if he's okay, for 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the end of the match.
Yeah.
And then you just, unleash everything you can. And the same could be said, maybe about Stian. I just don't think it's going to happen. But Pineda still has options, and it's a decent place to be, especially when you know that your backup strikers are capable of scoring goals now.
Yes,
as opposed to the past 4 years. So I think you're in a decent position. You kind of have history going with you in this match as well. Cincinnati historically has not been good at the Benz. And so, yeah, I think there's, regardless of the injury situation, I think there's still a lot to look forward to in this one.
All right. So as Tyler hits mute and clears his throat and perhaps continues to hydrate so he can get his voice back, Maddie, what's your next question for Tyler here on Wall Pass Wednesday?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I think talking about Cincinnati, it's like bittersweet, you get Miles coming back to the Benz, seeing how that's going to react. I think I'm really excited to see how he's going to pair with the strikers in Rios and possibly Gigi. If he ends up coming in, I don't believe he'll maybe start, but possibly maybe come on later if that's the case. But I'm excited to see that pairing and see the duels, because Miles is one of the best in the league for one-on-one duels, as we all are well aware of that. I mean, he's crazy when it comes to that stuff. But it's going to be a fun one. And I think, what is your expectation for, Miles coming back? Like, what are you anticipating? We're going to see some fans' reaction, everything like that. Because it's a bittersweet kind of day almost.
I mean, he deserves all the praise, right? Like, I think maybe sometimes people get a little in their feelings about like a player that's been around for a long time, and then they make a move that's like, we don't know all the factors, but if they make the move, it's what they feel is better for their life. And you can't be mad at somebody for that. He should be celebrated. He was part of a championship winning team multiple times, and he's a part of Atlanta's history for sure. And so, I mean, yeah, I remember when Gressel, one of the first times he came back after leaving, I want to say it was, I don't know when it was actually. Don't make me fact check myself. Anyway, but it was after he left.
Yeah.
And he was still getting the Gresselmania chance as he entered the pitch, and you've seen guys like that. Justin Meram even got it a little bit last year with Charlotte. So I don't expect this to be any different. I think he'll be celebrated when he gets here, but I also hope that he plays like absolute garbage and doesn't do anything related to putting any attacker in his pocket.
The lineup last time out, since I was doing homework while you were hydrating and Maddie was asking the question, for Noonan, SofaScore has it listed as like a 3-4-1-2, and to me, I think it drifts more into a 5-3-2, 3-5-2 kind of a thing. You end up with, and I'll play it as a 5-3-2. Luca Orellano, center backs Ian Murphy, Matt Miazga, Miles Robinson, DeAndre Yedlin out to the right, because the way that SofaScore has it posted, they've got Yedlin pushed forward into a midfield position. So 5 at the back against Montreal, midfield 3, Buka, Wobodo, and Lucho Acosta, and then your 2 attackers up top, Bupenza and Kubo. And I think that in this particular matchup, you sit there and it's like, okay, 5 at the back. If Atlanta, I always take Jason's tenet of you always want one more in defense than they have an attack up top. So if they're 2, then you're going to want 3 back there in some manner, way, shape, or form. And Gonzalo Pineda can turn the dial and have, center backs and the left back, right back, they can rotate around and he can turn the dial, and you would have 3 in defense at any given moment, or just have, Bart Sleece drop back and he ends up being like a de facto 6. This looks like one of those elements where you sit there and it's like, okay, if you pin in Lucho and let everybody else beat you. I mean, that seems like it almost is a philosophy for some folks when it comes to Cincinnati. All right, we'll let everybody else try to beat us. We'll keep an eye on the number 1 gun. Is that what you are envisioning, where the second that Lucho Acosta is past the ball on Saturday night, you're going to see 7,000 Atlanta United players collapsing on him to make sure that he has no room to breathe?
Yeah, I think probably Pineda's number 1 point in the film review session, especially for Slish and Muyumba, is going to be, you always have to have an eye on and be within, arm's length of Lucho Acosta. You just have to. And I mean, it's the same tenet if you're trying to defend Thiago Almada. So you want Slish, who I think can handle it as a defensive midfielder, you want that to be the primary focus, because you still want Noah Cobb and Luis Abram to be able to handle, Kubo or Bupenza or whoever. Whoever they put up top. So, but I do feel that ultimately you're going to see Slish all over Lucho Acosta, and I imagine Muyumba is going to be a big factor in that as well. If Lucho drifts out to the right like he tends to do sometimes, I'm sure the communication's already been there. Whoever's over on that side in terms of, whether it's Wiley or Tyler Wolf, if he's playing that left wing, they're going to be doing a lot more defensive work than I think they'll get credit for, but it's going to be by design, because you have to stop Lucho. You have to. Yeah. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a big focus. I mean, and Pineda's even said he's not a big fan of man-marking people, but he also admitted, like, there are times and there are teams that you have to do that against, and this is one of them.
Maddie Cruz, what else is on your mind?
Well, what else is on my mind is you got the chance to watch some crazy Open Cup games last night.
Yes,
Which one was
I
your
did.
favorite?
Rhode Island and Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. I watched the beginning of it before I hopped on the Cincinnati podcast, and then finished up the rest. And I thought, well, Charlotte's they're gonna come back and do their thing. They're a great team. Rhode Island, yes, technically higher division, but they're new, right? Like they're a new team. But I wanted our old pal Parkey to do his thing. I wanted that win for him. So, yeah, it was back and forth. I mean, Rhode Island comes out, and then Charlotte comes back and levels it, goes ahead, and then you get right before half, and Rhode Island evens it out again. Then you get 2 more goals, 1 apiece in the second half, and then you get 2 more goals, 1 apiece in extra time, and then they went to penalties, and Rhode Island had the chance to win it, and missed it. So it was a great watch, though. Like from a neutral perspective.
From a neutral perspective.
Oh my gosh! Like that game had everything. I mean, you had bangers, you had like weird Open Cup chaos, you had all the stuff. So that one was a lot of fun. And then I watched most of the Oakland Roots and
you watched El Farolito.
Yes, I did. The burrito, yeah. The burrito bravas.
The burrito bravas supreme.
They were throwing burritos into the stands. I think that's amazing.
So if anybody doesn't know the story of El Farolito, go look it up. It is a restaurant that I think that we are all now going to try and find when we're in the Bay Area. It's a chain, and they have a franchise in NPSL out west, and they've knocked off some folks to get into, I think it was Sounders 2 and Central Valley Fuego, to get to this point where they were playing against Oakland Roots.
Portland 2.
Oh, Portland, thank you. T2. Yep. It was one of those twos. So T2 and Central Valley Fuego to get to this point. They lose in the extra 30 to Oakland Roots, and Oakland Roots moves on. When the magic of the Open Cup, and so since you've gone here, so we'll go ahead and discuss what's going on with Open Cup. We have these matchups. Today, it is, we got 5 early. Okay, 5 early, 5 fairly decent. Richmond Loudon, Hartford Athletic, and NYCFC 2. That one's in Trinity Health. We had Roy Lassiter on the show yesterday, and Maddie caught up with him. North Carolina FC, Carolina Core. That one's going to be a fun blood feud at 7 o'clock. Memphis 901, Miami United FC. That one's at AutoZone with our friend Stephen Glass. The Miami FC hosting South Georgia Tormenta down at FIU in Miami. Legion and Red Wolves at Montevallo, Alabama, at the University of Montevallo. Union Omaha, El Paso Locomotive, Fire 2, Indy 11. That one's in Bridgeview, so about 7 people will watch that. FC Tulsa and Hailstorm, Monterey Bay, Irvine Zeta out of Nisa, and Vegas Lights and Spokane Velocity. So you, sir, what are your viewing habits going to be for this?
So I'm definitely starting off with North Carolina and Carolina Core.
Uh-huh.
I just think that one's going to be spicy because you've got a new team and you've got, obviously the geographical connotations of this, but
right.
It's also one of the early ones. And I think out of the 3 7 o'clock ones, I just think you're going to get the most entertainment out of that one. I hope.
Right.
But gotta keep an eye on South Georgia, obviously. But I am curious about Miami United and Memphis because one, I still have a little bit of anger in my heart at last year's Open Cup and Memphis. Even though I love Steven. I'm just curious because if I'm not mistaken, they're Miami United is the last amateur side left in the tournament, I believe.
I believe that might be. I think
El Farolito.
Yeah, El Farolito. Yeah, they got bounced last night. So, Lubbock got bounced by New Mexico United. So that lends us to today, and I think it is. I think it is Miami United. Yeah. It would be the last amateur side. So I don't know how the money's distributed, but because of the scheduling, I don't know if Miami United gets the check because they were the last man standing because El Farolito lost last night. We got scheduled late. We get the full check. I don't know. I don't know if it's one of those kinds of things, but sidebar. Their Miami Vice jersey that they had a couple of years ago, oh my God.
Yep.
That was a fun one. I
would like one of those.
I wish they would reissue that.
Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of jerseys.
Uh-oh. Yes.
Jay Heap, if you're listening.
Jay, she's still going after Jay Heaps.
We haven't brought it up in a while. Where is it? I was promised, and I still have not received it.
Oh goodness! There's your bat signal. There's your bat signal for the Lady Electra jersey for Jay Heaps and Birmingham Legion.
I beg. I'll come up to a game. I'll do it.
Maddie will try and maybe hammer their anvil or something. She'll go over to Legion and do that. We know that this weekend, I think, is the beginning of the implementation of all of the rules from Major League Soccer that we were promised were going to be implemented, and then we had something called a labor stoppage kind of get in the way.
Yep.
And so now you end up with a couple of new rules that are a part of the deal, and reminders once again that this is the stuff that was brought in from MLS Next Pro. And it is that you can't dilly or dally anymore when it comes to your injuries. And that is something that we have how do we phrase? That we've somewhat championed and wished that folks wouldn't kind of sit there and go, I've got a problem with my hamstring. And then, 45 seconds later or a minute later, after kind of getting it worked on by the physios, you stand right up and everything's cool. We now get the implementation of those rules for 2024. And I wanted to kind of give a bit of a refresher course when it comes to what we're looking at with these new sporting initiatives, as they were referred to. Off-field treatment rule. Medical professionals with time to assess and treat players off the field to play in a less pressurized environment. That's from our friends at Major League Soccer. If a player with a suspected injury remains on the ground for more than 15 seconds, the referee will stop play, wave the medical crew onto the field to evaluate the player. When safe, the player will be removed from the field and remain off the field for a minimum of 2 minutes for further assessment and treatment. Once again, that was MLS Next Pro, and we saw that at MLS Next Pro with the twos. Exceptions include instances of potential head injury, goalkeeper injury, serious medical events, and fouls resulting in yellow or red cards. So the off-field treatment rule is back with us. Or maybe it never left, but it's with us. Even if it's back with us, it's back with us for the first time. So we got off-field treatment.
Back with us in spirit.
Yes.
I think this is necessary. And interestingly enough, I'll get to my most important one when we get to it, but this is like the second most important one to me. I think it's just something that you've got to keep the game moving. You've got to keep the game moving. And if somebody, like, if you go down, I get the dark arts. I do. Mm-hmm. This is defense against the dark arts, and I'm happy that it's happening. I'm happy because there are ways to legitimately play the dark arts and waste time. Like, if your name is Kubo Torres and you run the ball into a corner for 5 minutes.
The magic of Kubo Torres.
Yes. But, it's necessary. I mean, if you're going to go down and you're legitimately injured, then you legitimately don't need to be on the pitch.
Yeah. Right.
Like, you need to be tended to. So yeah, stop all the playing around in the dark arts. And I mean, you can maybe shave off a second or two now, but you're not shaving off a minute or two. Like, and I see in the chat, like Derek saying, yeah, this is like the anti-Philly rule. And I love it.
Time substitution rule, maximizing effective match time. And like I said, this is the wording of Major League Soccer. The timed substitution rule, capital T, capital S, capital R, requires that a substituted player exit the field within 10 seconds. Failure to exit from any point on the field within the 10 seconds, you get a 10 count. It's like, you get the referee go to 9, and then somebody runs off. Failure to exit from any point within the 10 seconds will cause the incoming player to wait for a 60-second holding period before entering the game at the next stoppage. During the holding period and prior to the substitute entering, the team will play down a player. Exceptions to the rule include injury and goalkeeper substitutions. Enacted in Next Pro last season, 99.7% of the more than 3,200 substitutions were completed in 10 seconds or less.
I always think it's funny because you saw this in Next Pro, and it got to the point where it looked like the players were doing like suicides. Like they were just, it was like 10 seconds. I got to get off the pitch. If I'm sitting at center circle, I've got to get a move on.
8,
yeah,
9.
There's a lot of pressure.
People diving off the field at 9.5 to avoid the penalty.
The VAR's checking to make sure their body crossed the line within the 10 seconds.
You get the lines like they have in the Premier League off.
No, I loved it. I enjoyed it in Next Pro. I think again, it's just a way to speed up the game and keep things moving. And it's a simple change, but it's one that needed to happen. I think it absolutely needed to happen. And I see Alex's comment about the defense against the dark arts.
Yeah,
I get you. And hopefully it doesn't only last 1 year. Hopefully this is before the curse happened.
Yes. So yes, the defense.
Harry Potter.
Yes, of course. And then Alex says that you're going to get the James Brown Kate bit. Absolutely, you are. The other one, you have in-stadium VAR announcements. And pending IFAB approval, this was written back in December, VAR decisions announced by the referee to fans in the stadium and viewers at home. We are already seeing the stoppage time clock roll past 90 minutes. That one wasn't affected by the different set of officials that we had to begin the year. And the return to play equity, opposing players who simultaneously incur head injuries requiring off-field treatment who are subsequently cleared to return to play will return to the game at the same time once both medical evaluations have been completed. But the power play option for me here with the timed substitution element, that is when you see those first couple of instances of the power play where it's 11 on 10 and you've got the guy kind of sitting there and he's looking at the clock and the coach is sitting there and everybody's trying to do math and everything. And folks are trying to get like in the starters blocks and you see like the road runner bit where the legs are going like this before the guy can go
Just
back
kidding.
in. Yeah. It's the power play man advantage element of this. It's the first time that we see something like this and something happens. I wonder what the mass confrontation policy is going to look like when you have a moment like this.
Well, that's where the fines have to start going up, I guess. I don't know. I guess, when it comes to that, though, I also feel like a lot of this, if you're a ref, stop allowing some of this stuff to happen because you have the things in your pocket to help mitigate some of that. And I understand, yeah, we're all humans. You're going to get angry. You're going to go against the rules a little bit. Fine. I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
Totally get that. But if I'm a ref, if somebody runs up to me protesting or whatever, the first time that happens, fine. You say, hey, back up. This is the call period. That's the end of the discussion. The second time it happens, while everybody's surrounding me, yeah, yellow card, but hey, also y'all go ahead and take the free kick while they're all surrounding me and see how quickly they disappear from me and they go deal with the ball. Like it's little simple things like that could speed the game up too, that don't necessarily require like a rule change.
Yeah.
They just need to be enforced a little bit better, I think. But anyway, that was maybe a little bit off out in the right field, but I just have to say that.
It's a Wall Pass Wednesday. That's what we're here for, to kind of do this. The other one that was dropped yesterday by IFAB, and it is the idea of, and Maddie and Jason and Jarrett were part and parcel to this back at the Fraction with Philadelphia Union 2. And we see it all the time where you get keepers who kind of make a habit of just kind of sitting there and hanging out. It's just like, okay, that's all right. You kind of check your nails, and it's like, okay, what are we doing? So right now, the unenforced law when it comes to loitering, for lack of a better phrase,
that's a great word, actually.
It is goalkeeper loitering. That is what we're looking at. If we're looking at GL, goalkeeper loitering or keeper loitering, KL, however you want to phrase it. The unenforced law says the keeper can only hold the ball for 6 seconds. and I know that Brad said some stuff about this yesterday, any longer, and it is an indirect free kick to the opposition. Now, IFAB has a trial that they are going to have to try to change this. Dale Johnson, ESPN, breaks it all down in a thread. He says, as well as wasting time, a goalkeeper holding the ball for too long is considered an unfair tactic because the opposing team has no possibility to regain possession because, once again, it is goalkeeper loitering. You're just kind of hanging out. That's because the keeper cannot be challenged when in control of the ball with the hands inside the 18. Keeper holding the ball for more than 6 seconds should be punishable by the indirect free kick. And so now the idea is to enforce it. Feeling one is an indirect free kick too great an advantage with a high chance of scoring when there was no possibility of scoring in the first place. Managing a free kick in the area is often extremely difficult, especially if it's close to the goal with defenders on the goal line between the goalposts. IFAB believes that systematic enforcement coupled with a restart that results in the goalkeeper and their team losing possession without giving the opposing team too big a benefit could be effective in eliminating the offense or reducing its frequency. IFAB breaks down the 3 common situations. Quick release for a counter, under 6 seconds. Unable to release quickly for a variety of legitimate reasons, 6 to 8 seconds. And then keeper decides to waste time, often unnecessarily, falling to the ground 20 seconds or more. So limit of 8 seconds was trialed. The idea being this not to penalize keepers who genuinely want to release the ball into play in a timely manner, but through no fault of their own are unable to do so, like a dude's right in your grill. 4 parts to the procedure for the trial. The referee will start counting the 8 seconds when the keeper has clear control of the ball with his hands. So everybody, 8, that. The referee will use a raised hand to clearly show the countdown from 5 seconds to 0. So literally it's going to be like a stage manager. 5, he's going to be doing this. And then, I guess you point at the keeper. The corner kick or throw in resulting from an offense will be taken from the side of the field of play closest to where the keeper was positioned when penalized. So basically, if he's on the left-hand side of the 18, it's on that near side would be where the throw-in would happen. Yeah. The keeper will be warned, so you get a finger wag, for the first offense and then cautioned with a yellow for any subsequent offense. It's only available to competitions that do not involve teams from the top 2 domestic levels or Senior A internationals. Results considered by IFAB in October and November of 2025. Technically, the law could change for the 26-27 season if successful. Competitions which apply to take the part must opt to use only one of the restarts, the corner kick or the throw-in. They cannot mix or match and test both in different matches. If it becomes law, you can absolutely imagine, this is Dale Johnson, imagine supporters doing a countdown as soon as the referee's arm goes up, and then likely add extra pressure to the keeper to release. And don't think it wouldn't be like college basketball either, where you shortchange the shot clock a couple of seconds. Yep. When there's really like 8 on the clock, you go 5,
3.
Exactly. So it looks like, once again, IFAB might have their head in the right place, but the calendar has it 25 for 26-27. So literally, a year and a half from now would be this implementation, and then trying to come up with what we're staring at. So, yay!
Yeah. Like, we have to wait. It is a great, I think, option. I don't know that all the scenarios that are in that, set of rule changes or whatever we want to call them.
Sure, suggestions.
Yeah, suggestions.
Perhaps, maybe, kind of, sort of.
I don't know that they're all necessarily the 100% best way, but I think they're the best way that we have right now. And the 6 second thing, man, FIFA makes me do it. I wish that they would have implemented this a long time ago. FIFA being the video game.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, FIFA is not making anybody do it. But no, I mean, it's what needs to happen again to speed the game up. Dark arts is one thing. Mm-hmm. Taking a nap on top of the ball in the 60th minute is something totally different.
Loitering?
Yeah, loitering. I don't know. Some of these people, they transition from loitering to trespassing. Like, it gets really bad. So, yeah, I mean, I like it. I do agree. The biggest thing with that was the indirect free kick thing. It is maybe a little harsh to give an indirect free kick in that situation.
Right.
So I do like the corner possibility, the throw-in possibility, whatever. Those are, I think, probably the most fair ways to make this happen. And yeah, I just wish we didn't have to wait until 2026. But man, a lot of these goalkeepers across the world and goalkeeper coaches are going to have to go ahead and like get in that mindset now, because you've been trained from a very young age for a lot of these things that you do that you're not going to be able to do anymore.
Yep. So what's going on at Scarves in Spikes as you continue to hydrate and get ready for the next round of shows and continue to flash the new gear?
Yes. First, I'm going to go get me some more coffee.
There you
go. But we have our show tonight at 7, as usual, Wednesday night. So over on the YouTube and the Twitch and Twitter. I'm not sure of a guest yet. We're working on one of the MLS announcers, but it's been kind of a weird week and a half, so I don't know. So I can't give a name yet.
Okay. You're efforting, as we say.
Yes. And then other than that, just scarvesandspikes.com. Got the website. I've got the articles going up, covering everything. It's my anniversary this weekend, so I have not been at training.
Oh, well, how many years?
16.
Wow. The boss and I have been together for 15 and married for 11 plus.
There you go. We got started very young.
So what is 16, by the way, in anniversaries? Do you know what that
like the present?
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up real quick because I don't.
I'm right there with you. Because when you said 16, I was like, man, anniversary gifts by year, according to our friends at brides.com. They're going for a while here. Yeah, one is paper. Yeah, no kidding. And no, you can't give 16 pieces of paper. Like you can't give the boss legal pads or something. You can't do that.
Silver hollowware?
Wax.
And wax.
Okay,
why would I give? Okay. Whatever.
So, yeah, what is hollowware anyway? Silver hollowware. I've never heard of it.
Anything related to the dinner table that isn't silverware.
Okay. All right.
Or like a candlestick or something?
Yeah. Traditional present is wax. Think candles, wax seals, and more. The modern gift is silver hollowware, metal serving pieces like bowls, serving trays, or teapots. The gemstone is peridot, and the color is silver. Associated with 16th anniversary, provides lots of gifting for jewelry and such. Thanks to our friends at brides.com for that education. And when we see you on Saturday night, you are going to have to let us know which direction you went. If you went with the hollowware, or if you went with the wax, or if you went with peridot or silver.
I will report back
in
a week's time, and I will definitely let y'all know.
That is very cool. At ATL Pilgrim, at Scarves and the letter N Spikes, go to their Etsy site and get their gear, and go to soccerdownhere.net and get our gear with all of our T-shirts and designs and everything. Tyler, my friend, enjoy your anniversary. Enjoy your peridot and your hollowware. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank y'all.